Hey everyone, Jill here and welcome back to my channel. If you are new around here, I share about all things farming, gardening, homesteading, sourdough baking, from scratch cooking, family, and so much more here over at Whispering Willow Farm. So today's video is a little bit different, but we are going to dive into a topic that I get asked all of the time, and that is, how do I balance being a mom and running a business? And the truth is, I haven't always done this that well in the past, so today we're gonna dive into this topic. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you guys what life used to look like for me. Hint, hint, it was a little bit chaotic. And how I have managed to find a better rhythm. So I'm gonna be answering some of the biggest questions I get asked, and that is, again, how do I do it all? How do we generate income as a family? So grab your coffee, grab your cup of tea, or maybe just your salt water, and let's dive into today's video. So before we dive into the rhythms I found myself in now as far as balancing motherhood and life, I feel like we need to kind of go back a little bit and let me share with you guys what life used to look like for me, because I really do think that I cannot be the only one that used to be this way, right? Like, I feel like some of you guys can probably relate to the season I used to be in. That was a time when I was honestly just feeling constantly pulled in every direction. I was trying to be a present mom. I was trying to run a business. I was trying to manage our farm. I was trying to keep up with the house. And the truth is, I felt super overwhelmed and distracted. And I felt like I could never really give any one thing my full attention. Any other mamas, like, raising your hand to that one right now. I was pulled in so many directions that they all got a little piece of me, but no one thing could I do really well and give my undivided attention to. So one, I wasn't really able to do any of these things extremely well because I was being pulled in so many directions. And the truth is, if I'm being completely honest, there was little to no work-life balance for me at that time. And the result of that, it took a toll on me, it took a toll on my family, and it just was not working at all. And so one, just know, if I've, kind of shared my previous story with you guys, and you're one of those that your hands went up, and you're like, yeah, there's no balance for me. I'm being pulled in all these different directions, but nothing's really working. One, just stay with me. I'm hoping to encourage you guys in this video how I found balance in those areas to inspire some of you guys that you can also find balance. Do not feel like you have to be stuck in that rut. I was stuck in that rut for years and years and years, and I'm so glad to no longer be in that season. So I'm hoping to shed light on a little bit of how I balance it, and hopes to inspire and encourage some mamas on the other side of this camera that you can also do this. So I think the first thing we need to talk about when it comes to balancing motherhood and work is really just learning to establish a work-life rhythm. I think this is crucial. So crucial, something that I certainly did not prioritize in the past, but I would say it is my top priority now. So let's fast forward, to where I am today. The two questions I get asked most, whether that's through Instagram, whether you guys are commenting on YouTube, if I see you in person at a conference, I even get emails about this, you guys, okay? And it is, how do you do it all? How do you balance it all? And also, another question I get asked a lot is, how do you generate income for your family? Now, I think this might be an entirely separate video that we just dive into the logistics and the nitty-gritty of how we generate income for a one-family income household, but I am going to touch briefly on some of the ways we are generating income for our family as well in this video. So stay tuned. That'll be towards the end of this video. But to answer the first question, one, I do not do it all. I know it appears that way. I know many times we can, pop on YouTube or scroll on Instagram and it looks like we all have it together. You guys, I am a hot mess express, okay? I certainly do not have it all together, and I certainly do not do it all. I have learned, especially in the last year, that in order to really balance motherhood and work, I had to be very diligent on setting some non-negotiable boundaries. And one of the ways I've done this, one of the best things I think that I have done, Nathan's been on board with this, my husband, for quite some time. Took me a little bit longer to come around to it, but I had to establish work hours, especially because we are running a business that is ran within our home. It's not like we have a brick and mortar where we go in each day and we're clocking in in and we're clocking out. Like, we have a family business that is ran out of our home in a very unconventional way. And so it's really easy to work all the time when, one, you see the work that's around you all the time that needs to be done, specifically on the farm, on the homestead, whether that's with our animals, whether that's with our gardens, whether that's just with maintenance. It's really easy to see the things instead of, locking up shop at the end of the day, coming home, and we don't really have to worry about that until we drive to that store the next day. And so I always felt like there was always work to be done, therefore I needed to always work. And so establishing work hours for myself has been huge. That's been one of those non-negotiable boundaries that I set a few months ago, and I am so thankful that I did. So what do those work hours look like for me? For me, we are starting our work day around 10 a.m. That allows me the morning, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, that allows me the freedom to get up, to tidy up the house, to cook breakfast, to read my devotional over a hot cup of coffee, and be intentional with my family in the morning before we ever decide to start our work day. And then we're ending around 2 or 3 p.m. And granted, in between that 10 a.m. and 2 and 3 time, I'm not sitting down and getting consistent work done. I'm going to chat about another strategy in a minute. I am nursing a baby. I'm swapping over laundry. I am, laying out meat to cook with dinner. Like, I am juggling a lot of those household things in between those work hours. So it's certainly not perfect, but one thing I will say is that it is very intentional, is that after that 2 or 3 o'clock time mark, I'm done. I'm not, popping back into my computer. I'm not shooting YouTube content. I'm certainly not taking my computer to my bed at night after the kids go to bed, which used to be a really bad habit I would have. And I think there's a time and a place and a season for everything. So I will say that if you are starting a business and there's going to be sacrifices. And for many years, I made those sacrifices of waking up early before the kids woke up to work. And I would also work when the kids went to bed, which I sacrificed time with my spouse. I sacrificed time with my friends. Like, there's a lot of sacrifices that had to be made, and I'm glad I made those sacrifices. But I would say that once that season of sacrifice had ended, I still kept those unhealthy habits of that just being a part of my routine. And so now I'm at a place where we've established these systems. We've established, these resources, our offerings. Like, we've really kind of established the fundamentals and the pillars of our business to where I don't need to do those things anymore. And so I knew it was really important that I ditch those nasty habits to have a healthier balance with mothering, being a spouse, being a friend, all the things. I knew that I really needed to work on that. And so that has been crucial for me, setting designated work hours. If it does not get done, it does not get done. There's no bringing my laptop to the bed at night to finish it. There's no waiting till the kids go to bed. It's absolutely not. If it does not get done, too bad, so sad, as they say, and it will have to make its way on tomorrow's to-do list, which is the next thing I want to talk to you guys about. Here are a couple of my tips for staying productive as a stay-at-home mom who is also working. Whether you are working for yourself, you're working for someone else, maybe you're watching this and you're aspiring. How do I generate income from home and not sacrifice being intentional as a mother and my household duties? I hope you guys will stick around for the rest of this video because I'm going to chat about how I think you can do that and you can balance it really beautifully. All right, so the first thing I do is I set out a to-do list every morning. I talked about my morning starts at 4 a.m. Typically what that looks like, 4 a.m., I'm getting up, I'm nursing my 8-week-old baby. We're usually done around 4:45. He goes in a little rocker. He's like, for the first hour, he's awake. He's so joyful. He's in such a great mood. So that's what I usually will go through, and I will clean the kitchen. I'll make my cup of coffee. I'll do my devotional, and he's still usually pretty chill to where he can just sit beside me, and this is when I tackle my to-do list. Now, my to-do list is the reminder app on my iPhone. I don't actually have my phone on me. This thing is a lifesaver. I use this app. It's a free app. It automatically comes on your iPhone if you have it. If you're a pen and paper type of person, by all means do it too. This is one of those apps I actually really prefer to have. And I religiously use this app. I sit down every single morning and I put on there the things that have to be done. Now, one thing that's worked really well for me, being a very works-driven person, I find a lot of value in my work. This has been a lot of deconstructing in this season of how I view myself and how I view my worth. And if you are a regular viewer of our channel, you know I've kind of talked about this a lot. For so many years, and this stems from childhood, I have viewed my worth as the work I can provide, right? Like my work equals my worth. And the Lord has been so sweet and has been working on me and showing me that my worth is showing up for my family. My worth is sitting down at the dinner table and being intentional. My worth is reading a book to my kids, right? My worth isn't now tied up in my work. And that's been really sweet to have this deconstructing take place. But the truth is, I am still a very works-based person. That's how my brain works. I'm a very business-minded oriented person, and I'm a very task-oriented person. And so I like to have those things to check off of a list. And so one thing I have found very helpful for me in balancing motherhood and work is to treat motherhood like work, right? So let's just give you an example of Jill from a couple years ago. If I had laundry to do, I needed to clean the kitchen, maybe I needed to swap over laundry, I needed to get a child to a sporting event, I would not have considered that work. And I would have done all of these things that were very valuable, that are in fact work, I would say. Many of you moms would probably agree with me. And I would get to the end of the day and I would be super discouraged, really frustrated because I spent my whole day and I wasn't productive. I got no work done today. I, in fact, even remember having these conversations with Nathan of like, I got nothing done today. I did laundry, I cleaned, like I took kids here and there, and in his mind, he's like, well, you did a lot of work today. But for me, I didn't view it that way. Because one, I wasn't doing something that was generating income, so I didn't view it as work, right? And I had to review how I felt my worth and what work actually was to me. And so maybe you are like me in this case. Writing a to-do list out of your work, even if it is mothering work, household work, or legitimate work that generates profit, put it on the to-do list because it is work, mamas. It is so work. So if I've got laundry to do, on that to-do list, it is start a load of laundry. It is, load the dishes in the dishwasher. It is read a book to the kids. It is family devotional. It is, write a newsletter, shoot a YouTube video. Whatever that work entails for me, I put all of that on my to-do list. That way when I can mark that off the list, whether that's physically or I'm clicking the button on the app on my iPhone, I feel validated that I have done something. I see that list that's long and I am slowly marking it off, even things that I would not have considered work before, like laundry or household things. I'm now realizing that is very much a part of my job and my work now. And I feel good checking that off the list. And that has been really important for me, not to just only stay on top of household duties, but the actual profit generating work I have to do. I'm much more focused in that work, and those things are typically, at the front of the list. Those are those non-negotiable things that need to get done in a day. But while I am nursing a baby, I can, be swapping over laundry or loading the dishwasher or something like that. I have a lot of, time in my day that I can't just sit down and work on one thing because I am, taking care of a newborn right now. So make sure you start a to-do list every morning if you are trying to find this balance for yourself, because this has been such a game changer for me. Another thing I do that I've been doing for years now, but really found the balance in this within the last year, and that is time blocking. I even think I've mentioned it on a few videos here in the past. So let's chat about what it is, how I use it, and how it has really helped me in balancing that work-life, mom life, and work balance. Okay, so time blocking, if you are not familiar, it's essentially where you are blocking off incremented time, and this literally looks like me blocking it off in my calendar. Again, I'm using, we do everything through Notion as a team. It's just great. It lets Nathan know what I'm working on. And so I'm using just the Notion calendar. So I'll typically write it out in Notion and it will convert it to my Google Calendar. Again, if you have a, physical calendar, write it down, block it off. You can even just say this is a 30-minute time block, an hour time block. And I really got into time blocking when I believe it was either a study I read or a podcast I listened to. I'm pretty sure it was a podcast I listened to. And she was stating that you only have 4 productive hours in a day. So she had narrowed down her workday to 4 hours, and these were in 30-minute to 1 hour increments. And she did not work more than that 4-hour mark, because what she realized, and based off of all of these studies, is it wasn't actually productive work. You would have been better just saying, hey, I'm going to be done with work for the day and we'll pick up again tomorrow. And that really resonated with me because I used to work, you guys, 12, 15 hours a day. I worked around the clock all the time. I felt myself always tired, and I also felt like I was always behind. So when I started creating time blocks for myself, I was so productive and energized and joyous about what I was doing because I only had to do that task for 30 minutes or maybe an hour. And things where I'm like, need to be super focused, I usually don't even give myself an hour time block because that requires a lot of uninterrupted brain power that as us moms, we know we're constantly getting interrupted. So I usually am just like 20, 30-minute blocks for things. Like if I need to write a newsletter, I'll put that in a 20 or 30-minute block because I need to be intentional about what we're doing or maybe what we're promoting. I will do hour blocks for content creation and YouTube videos, and maybe I'll do a longer block if we're just, cleaning out garden beds. And that is, considered work for me. And so that's one of those mindless activities I can do, right? It's one of those things that doesn't require a lot of work. I'm just going outside, ripping out plants. And so be intentional when you're time blocking. Set yourself up for success. I know not all of us, depending on the type of work we do, can narrow our work day down to 4 hours. But for me, this has been the sweet spot, specifically when I'm working on launches and when I'm working on digital content. I'm not sitting down and for 4 hours trying to crank out an ebook, because it's not going to be very good. My mind's going to wander. I'm not going to be as fresh. But if I say, hey, for 30 minutes, I'm going to work on this ebook that I'm creating, I am so jazzed to spend 30 minutes on that. I'm super creative. I feel super inspired. And then I can set it down and I'll work on it again for 30 minutes the next day. This has allowed me to be so productive. Again, it has allowed me to be super excited about the projects I'm working on. And then I save that mindless work for longer blocks of time or things that maybe I wouldn't include in that 4-hour mark. So for instance, we are trying to finally get rid of our summer garden because we are desperate for the fall garden to get planted. And so that's one of those things that Nathan and I will do this later in the evening when the sun goes down. I'm not clocking that as my 4 hours of work because it's that mindless stuff that the whole family's out there. We're doing it together. So that's a little bit different. So give yourself freedom in that, especially if you're working for yourself and trying to find that balance. But time blocking, cannot recommend it enough. It is just a great one for productivity. And then another thing I think we should talk about, because this was very hard for me, but that is learning to say no. So what I've learned is that I have got to say no to things that do not serve me, serve my family, or serve my business. Now, this is one of those that is way easier said than done, right? But the truth is, my time is precious. I want to spend every bit of time I have being intentional with my kids, serving my spouse, being intentional in my household. And I cannot do that if I am saying yes to every single opportunity. I feel like, and I know I cannot be the only one here, but we live in a culture that really praises busyness. It's like this competition. Well, I did this every day of the week and I did this. It's like, are we comparing how busy we are? Because busyness does not equal a life of fulfillment. And I feel like oftentimes, speaking to, my family included, we've created unnecessary busyness for our families at the cost of being intentional with our families. And so this was a decision Nathan and I made. We're going to learn that there's value in saying no. We are not going to take on things because society tells us we need to be busy to be successful or to be whatever, X, Y, and Z, fill in that blank. Now, we do have things that cause us to be busy. Each of our kids are in sports. Our kids love the sports that they're in. They are very passionate about that. And so we want to allow them the opportunity to pursue those passions. But other than that, there's a lot of extra busyness we say no to. We're not super involved at different groups in our church that take away from our time as a family at night. We don't go out to eat dinner. We're not, the kids are not allowed to be involved in multiple sports. You can only be involved in one sport. We say no to a lot of things if it interferes with us being intentional as a family, or if it was time we had blocked out to be able to pursue something in our business that we had or something along those lines. So I encourage you guys, don't get caught up in what society tells us as a family we need to do or be, right, to have made it or be one of the cool kids. Like, I feel like sometimes it is this competition, and it's like, why? Why was this a thing that we praise, is how busy we are? For me, I feel like we should be praising, well, how many home-cooked family meals did we have around the dinner table? You know, how many nights did we have playing a board game when everyone wasn't on their electronics? Like, those are the things that I find valuable, and these are the things that we have really prioritized, that we're learning to say no. So this looks like saying no in our personal lives. This also looks like saying no in our professional lives. So I've really scaled down on the amount of conferences I go to. I used to travel a lot, but I would always travel solo. And when I found out I was pregnant with Ziggy, Nathan and I made the decision, we either go as a whole unit or we don't go at all. So it's like, you get one, you get all, or you don't get none. And I'm so glad we made that decision, because I don't feel like I should have to go and pursue something that took me away from my family. And the truth is there's a lot of special moments that can take place at these conferences, and I want to experience that with my whole family, you know? And so we're doing fewer conferences this year, whether that's because we don't have the finances to fly the whole family to the event, or maybe it's just one that doesn't serve us, serve our family, serve our business, or it doesn't make sense in this season, maybe adds a little unnecessary chaos. We're going to say no to that, and we're going to revisit it maybe when we're in a different season. So I encourage you guys, if you're a busy mama, really just ask yourself and be honest, like, what can I say no to? What did I say yes to that I probably should have said no to? And when you get asked to do something, ask yourself those three things. Does it serve me? Does it serve my family? And does it serve my business, if the business is relevant to where you are right now? And those are something Nathan and we ask ourselves. And if it's not yes to all of those things, then it's going to be a no for our family. And this has been huge in trying to balance that. When I was starting out, I felt like I had to say yes to every opportunity, even an opportunity that sacrificed my time with my family, or was some other sort of sacrifice for our family. And what I realize now is that I don't believe God would call me to do that. And so that's just three of those practical things that has been an absolute game changer in how I balance being a mom, taking care of my household, and also still being able to work and generate income. Which brings me to my next point. How do we generate income as a family? This is also, I would say, probably the number 2 question I'm getting asked all the time. And the truth is, we always started out as a business, and I do think that was intentional in the beginning, even as we were starting to dive into content creation. I knew I wanted to run this as a business. I knew it had to be profitable. At that point, I was working, Nathan was working, we were trying to quit our jobs. So we'd always been business minded when we set out to do content and to build our businesses. We always knew it had to be profitable. So we were very open and honest about that with our audience from the get-go. So whenever we did start to scale our offerings and offer products, it got received really well, because, you know, our community followed us on the journey. They knew that was our intention. And so through that, we have built multiple streams of income for our family. And some of those are YouTube. So we've got our ad revenue that we make through YouTube, which is from you guys just doing what you're doing right now, watching my videos. One of the things that we've included in this season, though, that has been very helpful of me putting out quality over quantity is, before, if revenue was down because maybe I wasn't keeping up with the algorithms, I'd have to post more. And for many years, I did daily posting, which took a massive toll on our family. My content style was usually always educating and teaching, which took a lot of planning and preparing and making sure I was just giving the best, educational content that I could to you guys. And so what we decided to do is we decided that we would partner with companies or businesses that we really believe in. And we decided we would do ad sponsorship, which you've seen a few of these videos. And that way, we do not have to increase the amount of videos we're doing. Ideally, right now in this season of life, I'd like to be, putting out 2 videos a week, which is I think about where I've been at. And we're able to do this because we're taking on ad sponsorship, which means we're getting paid from those businesses to place their ad in our YouTube videos, while also getting paid from YouTube through our AdSense. This has been such a blessing to our family. Now, we're not going to go promoting every Tom, Dick, and Harry. We have been very diligent through the years to only partner with people that we feel like bring value and align with our audience. So we will have a core group of businesses that we work with, and we will only work with that core group. And so that's something that we have been able to do to generate income for our family. That has been such a blessing. And also, not feeling the need to always have those YouTube videos being how-to and teaching videos. A lot of what you guys are seeing is just my life as a mom. I've been a mom, right? I've been a mom for a decade, but it seems so different for me right now because that entire decade I have worked, and work has very much taken the priority in a lot of ways. And so I'm in this season where homemaking and being a mom is taking that priority in my life, which I'm so thankful for. And so the content looks different. I'm not sitting down, I'm not, teaching. I'm just showing you this is what my life looks like for me right now, in hopes to inspire and encourage you guys too, that if that's what's preventing you from showing up, show up. Because you guys are watching my videos of me cooking or swapping laundry or nursing a baby, or it's just a day of my life. And I have found that in this season of motherhood, that is the content I'm gravitating to. I've got like 3 mamas that I'm following on YouTube, and it is such a joy to watch them every week. And they are literally just doing their mama household duties and responsibilities, and I'm finding so much beauty in watching them do that. It's inspiring me that there is so much beauty in cultivating this life with my husband and my kids. And so our content looks a little different right now. As we get into the fall, we'll be going outside and doing more in the garden, but 90% of my day I've got a baby strapped on, so I'm not going outside and working and doing things like that. And so content's kind of changing, but I'm not feeling the need to put out more YouTube videos each week or try to keep up with the algorithm. We have just included ad sponsorships, and that's been a really sweet blessing to our family. So another way we generate income as a family, we'll go in more depth on this in that video I'm really hoping to shoot for you guys on just ideas and how we legitimately make money as a family. But I would say this next one is about 90% of our revenue, and that is through online courses. So one, I love to teach. I love to inspire people. I love to educate people. So I knew pretty early on that I wanted to do this. In the beginning, it looked like physical workshops, and then one of my mentors came alongside me and was like, I think it makes more sense for you to do digital content. And once we really kind of wrapped our head around that, it made a lot of sense for our family. And one of the ways we do that is through online courses. I've got a home apothecary course. It is an online herbal course I did with my friend Kaylee at the Homestead, who is an herbalist in Virginia. And we talk about creating a home apothecary. We talk about different herbs, we talk about different remedies, and we dive into the specific topic of herbalism. I have got a sourdough course that I am relaunching. It'll be out next month. And I'm talking all about how to bake sourdough. We're talking about troubleshooting. We're baking different loaves. I've got a fermentation course. So the idea is to create these courses one time and relaunch them to where they end up being a passive revenue stream for our family, which allows me to be in balance more, be intentional with my family, and still generate income off of work I've previously done while just incorporating new launches. Now, this is something for you mamas who are wanting to get into this. I cannot recommend this as a revenue stream enough. Like I said, it's about 90% of our family's income. I love doing it. I love teaching. You build a community. You've taken, your knowledge and you've turned it into a resource to then help someone else. So I love creating courses because I feel like I'm doing the good work, right? Someone came alongside and taught me. I bought a course, and now I'm able to do that for someone else. So I love this being one of our revenue streams. I find a lot of great joy in creating this. I don't ever feel burnt out. And so that's also one of the top ways that we are generating income as our family. And then I would say the next tier down from that would be ebooks and digital products. So the ebooks and the digital products I love because I pair this with my time blocking, strategy, technique, and I'm super productive because I can use those time blocks. I can take my knowledge on a particular topic. I can go all in on that, turn it into a beautiful resource that I can offer to my community, and then it becomes passive revenue for me. And I don't know if you've picked up on this, but we're really in a season where we've been working really hard. I would say for the last 2 years, I've worked super diligently on building online courses and ebooks and digital products so that we can have a passive life of freedom. And that looks like time freedom. And I cannot recommend this enough because I am showing up and I am serving my community with joy, with knowledge, with resources, with value. And it's also allowing my family to make that a passive income stream to give my family more time to be intentional and to keep our family and our work and our business in balance. And so I highly recommend this as a revenue stream if you were trying to figure that out for your family. Another income stream for our family is brand partnerships. We do some affiliate marketing. Again, we do not do a ton because we really want to make sure that the businesses and the brands that we partner with align with our family's values and beliefs. I will not share a product just to make a buck. And I do not believe that God would call me to do that. We've never been in a situation, praise the Lord, where I've had to, say yes to something like that would compromise my values. And in fact, I just never would. I just believe there will be another way. So while we do brand partnerships, you won't see us do a ton of brand partnerships because we really want to value and believe in what the company stands for, but we will do different affiliate marketing and things like that. And then the last thing that we do to generate revenue, which is not where most of our revenue comes from, and it is certainly the most overhead heavy, but we feel a lot of value in that, is our Whispering Willow store. So this is an online store that we run out of our house. Thankfully, we have a basement, and that's Nathan's office and warehouse. And we created the Whispering Willow shop because we have been small business owners, and it is so hard to get started as a small business owner. And we had so many of our friends who were creating products, and they would say that they were shutting their business down because business was bad. And it was just so heartbreaking to us that we thought, what if we created an online store and we use the online presence that we have built and the community that we have to highlight other small businesses who would not have otherwise gotten exposure. Not because their products isn't great, because they are great, but just because they just needed someone to say, hey, let me help you in this. Let's partner together. And that's how the Whispering Willow shop came about. And so that is the cool thing about the shop. We are overhead heavy for sure. So I definitely recommend if you're starting out, try to find a digital product because you're going to have no overhead, just your time. But it has been such a blessing for Nathan and I to partner with so many small artisan crafters, business owners, and create products that align with what we're teaching and sharing on our platforms with you all. And we have had so many cool products get shipped out all around the world. And so it's just really cool to be able to align with other small businesses, know the families personally. Most of these families we're partnering with, like, they're friends of ours, and that just feels really cool to know that we're able to kind of link arms together. And I've mentioned this several times, I don't want to get to the top myself, right? I don't want to have, gotten to the top and look around and I can't celebrate the journey with anyone else. I want as many people in our family group, our friend group, our community online. I want us to all get to the top together. I want us to all have a life of fulfillment. I want us all to succeed in our homes and our businesses. I want this to be such a communal effort. And that is really why we created the Whispering Willow shop. It was just kind of the result out of something we were feeling really called to do. And we're so thankful that the Whispering Willow shop has been around for a few years now and thriving because of the support of all you guys. So thank you. If you've ever ordered from the shop, thank you. Just know you're not only supporting our family, you're supporting so many other families and just such a great representation of community. And so that's super, super special. We could definitely not sit here and shoot vlogs and do what we do if it wasn't for the support of all of you guys who've been so faithful to our family through the years. So that does not fall on us lightly, right? Like we love you guys so much and we're so appreciative of that. So if there is one thing I want to leave you guys with today, specifically you mamas, it is that you do not have to do it all to be a great mom and to run a business. It can look messy, it can look sloppy, it does not have to be perfect, you do not have to work 1,000,000 hours in a day, but you can do it. And just know that balance is going to look different for everyone. I shared with you guys how I am balancing this right now in my season of life in hopes to inspire or encourage a few of you. But my balance may not be your balance, and that's okay too. So just know balance is going to look different for each and every one of us. It's really just about finding the balance that works for you, and specifically that works for your family unit. I am just not in a place where I'm going to jeopardize the integrity of my family to pursue work. And I personally do not feel or believe that God would call me to do that. And the truth is, there's been moments where things have been a little tight. There's been moments when I've thought, oh, should I work a little bit more? And the truth is, He has always been faithful and He has always come through. So don't let yourself be backed in a corner. Just know that whatever that balance looks like, to prioritize your role as a mother and to keep the integrity of your family unit intact, I do believe God will work out the balance in your work to make sure you're still able to pursue that. So I do believe if you set some of those boundaries that I talked about, if you prioritize what is truly important and learn to say no to the things that do not serve you, yourself, or your business, and honestly, if you just give yourself a heck of a lot of grace when things are not always going to go as planned, I do believe that you will find a rhythm that works for you to find balance in motherhood and work. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope this is encouraging to you. If you know any other mamas who would like to hear this encouragement, shoot them this video. Also, if you want us to dive into more of these videos, answering some of these questions, leave them in the comments below. I would love to be able, during nap time, just to pop on here and answer some of these questions. I do think one that we're going to do for sure is talking more in depth on how we generate income as a family, in hopes to inspire some of you guys to take back some of your time freedom and just to share with you, if we can do it, so can you. We are nothing special, right? We are just a family that had a little bit of faith and we trusted God a whole lot, and He opened up so many doors to make this happen for us. But we also believe that God is an and God, not an or God. And what I mean by that is it's not that I can have this or she can have it. We believe that God can do this for our family and He can do this for your family. And so I hope that when we share that video, you'll be encouraged on some of the steps you can take and some of the things you can be doing to generate income, to give yourself more time freedom, and live a life, honestly, that you just love, and being intentional with your family. That has been such a sweet season I'm in right now, and I'm so grateful and so thankful that you guys have supported us through it all and that God has just been so faithful. So thank you all for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you soon.